So hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 13 of our F1 Andretti Cadillac Manager save here on the channel. Now if you didn't watch the last episode, I normally tell you to go back and watch it, but on this one I've not gone back and watched it because we were humbled in Hungary, as the title was. We finished P11 and P16, Gasly and Ocon. It wasn't the greatest race. Gasly nearly got a point, but Lando Norris just pipped him at the end. Max Verstappen won by 20 odd seconds from his teammate. Do we come to expect anything else? Probably not. And all that means for the standings is that Red Bull and Max Verstappen are leading the way. Red Bull by 159 points from Aston Martin, who are the closest challengers. We're on 51 points, but Williams, Haas and McLaren are starting to show some pace in this second half of the season. Driver standings wise, Max Verstappen is leading the way from Checo Perez. Gasly is in P9 on 28 points, but Esteban Ocon's been dropping a couple of positions after a poor couple of races, and he's now in P12 on 23 points. This weekend, we head to Spa, and it is a sprint weekend around here. We're looking at a bit of rain on Saturday, so something to be aware of. 44 laps, it's a very long lap around here. A 1:44.5 by Lance Stroll last season got the lap record. If we just have a quick look at the expected strategy, a one stop on to softs onto mediums can be used. There's also the medium onto hard. Maybe a two stop will work. And just to bring you up to date on a couple of other things, facilities wise, we are refurbishing the factory. It needed a fresh coat of paint, so we're just getting that up to standard once again. And on the car parts developments as well, we've got 3 new developments going on: an underfloor, front wing and suspension. Again, we may not manufacture all these, but we will get another design done to really get some decent upgrades coming into the second half of the season. I think that's pretty much everything to inform you of. We are still well under the cost cap at this moment in time, so that's something we're very much keeping an eye on this year. So I'm going to get through practice and I will see you in qualifying for the Belgian Grand Prix. And we have got a shocking result in Q1. Pierre Gasly got caught up in traffic twice and is out in Q1. P17 for Pierre Gasly, so only Esteban Ocon to worry about in Q2. He just did the one run and was in P12, so Esteban Ocon is looking a bit more promising this weekend than Pierre, but a sprint race will help. But on to Q2. Esteban Ocon, final flying lap in Q2. He's green through the first and second sectors. Is he going to manage to get himself into Q3? Charles Leclerc is out in Q2 in the Ferrari, but Esteban Ocon up to the line. Goes P4. What a performance from Esteban Ocon. What a lap. That is Leclerc and Perez currently out in Q2 as we just fast forward that round. That is some lap from Esteban Ocon. We have a car in Q3, ladies and gentlemen. Final lap in Q3. Alexander Albon's gone P5. Ocon yellow through the first sector, green through the second. Is he going to manage to improve on P7? It's been a delight to watch him in qualifying today. But Esteban Ocon up to the line. Can he improve? Not by enough. He will be P7 provisionally, and P7 he will be. So Max Verstappen will start on pole position for tomorrow's sprint. Of course, we're still using yesteryear's sprint format on the game. Sainz in P2, Alonso P3, but Esteban Ocon in P7. Pierre Gasly will be ruining that Q1 session. Let's get to the sprint race. Right then, guys, sprint strategy. Both cars starting on the soft compounder tyre. I'm just going to see how it goes, really. They've both got a good tyre selection for Sunday's race. We're not going to get any rain, despite there being some rain around on the forecast. It looks like we're going to avoid that. So P7, P17, let's see what we can do.
15 long and challenging laps await the drivers in today's sprint here at Spa.
And once the lights go out here at Spa, the attention will shift to the first corner, a turn that has seen its fair share of dramatic incidents over the years.
So then, it's time to see who wants that victory the most. Here we are, the sprint around Spa-Francorchamps. And it's lights out, and away we go.
And away we go, and straight away Verstappen gets away well, as does Sainz and Alonso. It's pretty much in formation as we see Esteban Ocon in P7 being told to deploy early doors. I wanted both our cars to really push early doors, stay in the DRS of the cars in front, and straight away we are going to have a look at Esteban Ocon going through Eau Rouge on this first lap. Just having a little look at the tyre situation. Everyone is on the soft compounder tyre. So Ocon and Zhou in P7 and 8. We've got Gasly at the back in P17. Gasly is going to be told to be a little bit more aggressive on the overtakes. There's no reason why he can't be, to be fair, as Esteban Ocon in P7 is pretty much in formation as we lead away on this first lap, although Ocon now looks like he's now up into P6 and there is a mistake from, I believe that's Lewis Hamilton. Let's have a little look at this. Lewis Hamilton doing well at the start in P4 and then decided to go and do this, locking up out into the runoff area. Did well not to put it in the wall, and to be fair, as I'm recording this, we've just had the Las Vegas Grand Prix this morning, so he would have been in the wall if it was in Las Vegas, but he's managed to avoid the wall here. But Esteban Ocon up into P6 early doors and tagging onto the back of the leading pack. He joined his bike on lap 3. Esteban Ocon has burnt a lot of ERS trying to stay in touch with the guys in front, but Alexander Albon and this Williams behind, in particular of Zhou Guanyu, seems to have a lot of pace early doors in this Grand Prix. We are monitoring the situation with him. Pierre Gasly has made up a couple of positions. He's currently fighting with Oscar Piastri, but we are struggling a little bit with Pierre Gasly. To be fair, he's been struggling all weekend, and we are going to ride on board with this as we can see Oscar Piastri looking to attack Pierre Gasly into the bus stop chicane. Will there be an overtaking opportunity as we come in? It looks like Gasly's just about got him covered off as Piastri's right up the gearbox of the Andretti Cadillac, but he's just about managing to stay in such a distance of Nico Hülkenberg. But one man who is under serious pressure is Esteban Ocon, who's got Zhou Guanyu just behind him, and Zhou Guanyu we will ride on board with through Eau Rouge. He's through the visor cam, and this is going to be very, very interesting to see if he can get past Esteban Ocon here. I would imagine with DRS open he can, but Esteban Ocon at the moment just about holding on. Zhou Guanyu doesn't seem to be going past him, and he's holding him on just enough. But we can see behind Checo Perez in the Red Bull making his way through as well, so we could be losing positions here with Esteban Ocon. Meanwhile, Pierre Gasly has thought, I'll tell you something, I'm going to have a go at Nico Hülkenberg, who's just binned it and taken off Oscar Piastri. That is a serious incident that's played beautifully into Pierre Gasly's hands. We are going to get a replay, but let's have a little look at this. Pierre Gasly going side by side with Hülkenberg. I don't think there was anything too untoward there. He went off the track, comes spinning back on, and that McLaren into the barriers. Surely that has got to be a safety car at least. Are we not having a safety car for that? Maybe they've got him off into the service road, but as we have a look, both cars are back running. Gasly's into P14. Ocon is under serious pressure from Zhou Guanyu and really needs to... he'd probably be better letting the Chinese driver past him and latching onto the DRS to protect him from that Red Bull of Checo Perez. But lap 4, Verstappen leads from Sainz, but only just. And something else that's benefited Pierre Gasly is Lance Stroll doing this. He managed to overtake Lance Stroll, and then Lance Stroll just running wide and disappearing into the barriers, because that's what can happen here at Spa. Lance Stroll doing that in real life this season. But Pierre Gasly up into P14, closing up to the back of the Hugo Boss car of Daniel Ricciardo. Meanwhile, Esteban Ocon is still running in P6. He's managing to keep these cars behind him very, very well at this moment in time. We're looking at the tyre wear. We've been on aggressive all the way through the race, and Esteban Ocon is just about tagging on. If he could catch up to Alexander Albon, it would be a huge benefit for him, but he is starting to do so. Meanwhile, Pierre Gasly now with the DRS, as we look at this, coming up to the back of Daniel Ricciardo. We will watch this up Eau Rouge and into the next DRS straight, because there could be an overtaking coming, and the overtake will be coming from the Gasman. He's catching him nearly before he gets to Eau Rouge, as we're keeping an eye on these two cars fighting very different battles here today. But here comes Pierre Gasly. DRS will be now wide open. He pulls to the left, then to the right, and Pierre Gasly is not going to be behind this Hugo Boss car for much longer, because he's down the inside, and Pierre Gasly gets the job done. Or does he, as I switch off to a different camera view, which I really shouldn't have done on the TV camera. Pierre Gasly, as he gets this inside, he's still side by side with Danny Ricciardo, but the move is done, and Gasly up into P13. Ocon is closing in on Alexander Albon. Now the gap is under a second, and very shortly he is going to have the DRS. This is working well for Esteban. We look like we've had another crash on circuit. Let's have a little look at what's happened here. It's all happening in this sprint race. Lewis Hamilton, my word, is it time to retire? He's going with the Audi and then just decides to shove his back end out a little bit, and he's not very happy about it either. But I think that may have been your fault, Mr. Hamilton. I think that's Valtteri Bottas, his ex-teammate, we're fighting with. But Hamilton having a really bad day, but Ocon is now back in the DRS of Alexander Albon. And I don't know what it is today, but the cars around us seem to keep making errors, and Pierre Gasly just having a little look at Alexander Albon, making him think twice, locking up on the dirty inside line, and Alexander Albon is going off the track, and that has meant that Ocon is now up to P5, but for how much longer? Because he's got a Red Bull that he's charging past him here, and I don't think we're any match for this. Ocon really could do with not fighting this, and he doesn't fight it. Perez up into P5, Ocon in P6, but if he can now stay with this Red Bull, we could possibly pull away from Zhou Guanyu. Meanwhile, Gasly is up into P12. We can see that Danny Ricciardo is behind him, and Leclerc and Tsunoda are scrapping away in front. This is going to bring Pierre Gasly back into the fight to possibly get maybe a top 10 finish. We've got still 8 laps to go, but Ocon is giving it the absolute beans to keep in touch with Checo Perez, although looking at it, it's not going to work, is it? You join us back though on lap 10, and I tell you what is going to work. Checo Perez got past George Russell, and George Russell is under significant pressure from the Andretti of Esteban Ocon. Esteban Ocon is now pursuing this Mercedes, and this is looking very promising indeed for tomorrow's race. We've been on aggressive on the tyres all the way through the race, and we are keeping them nice and fresh. I'm wondering if a two-stop may work for us tomorrow. As Pierre Gasly is in P12, he's fighting with Tsunoda and Magnussen. A top 10 finish is definitely on the cards for Pierre Gasly, but Esteban Ocon is going to have a huge chance down the next DRS straight, I would imagine. We're on 66% tyres. We are doing particularly well at this moment in time, and as we go down this straight, we're going to cut back when we're back to the next DRS straight. Or will Pierre Gasly fancy a move now as he's coming down up to the bus stop chicane? We will ride on board with Pierre Gasly. He's pulling to the right. George Russell defends. He's parking the car nicely, to be fair, is George Russell, but we are going to get 2 helpings of DRS to hopefully get past this Mercedes, with the first of which is coming up now. Esteban Ocon pulling to the left-hand side. He has got all the pace in the world at the moment, Esteban Ocon, and it is very, very nice to see. Ocon, now this is the moment. We're going to get to go up for Eau Rouge, and then he will get the chance with the DRS to get up into P5. And I've got to say, I think once he possibly does, he will get the chance to pull away if he carries on at the same rate of knots that he has been. We're going to leave it on aggressive for this moment in time. We're just going to switch it back for Pierre Gasly, and Esteban Ocon isn't quite going to make the move work. Final lap then of this sprint race, and Esteban Ocon is up against George Russell. He's still not managed to get past him, but this could be the moment. He's been told to deploy, he's been told to attack, and here comes Esteban Ocon. He's going to go for the move through Eau Rouge. It's side by side, the Mercedes and the Andretti, and he should, I believe, get DRS down this straight. He does. He's got the DRS wide open. He's burning ERS, and George Russell has been passed in to P5, and now it's time for Esteban to just push this to the line. If he can get a P5 here, it would be a massive, massive benefit for him, because he's had a couple of struggles in the last couple of races, but on this race in particular, he seems to be doing the business. He's on 49% tyres. We can be a little bit more aggressive now. They've cooled somewhat, and we can see George Russell fighting with Leclerc is helping us out all the more, because Esteban Ocon has pulled out nearly half a second. He's going to have to negotiate one long last weaving straight, and he should come across the line as the P5 position. Verstappen is, as always, run away with it. Fernando Alonso's in P2, Sainz P3. It's been a good recovery drive from Perez in P4. But here, Esteban Ocon, he's practically got it done, Ante. What a drive this weekend so far for Esteban Ocon. It's a shame it's not the feature race on Sunday. George Russell is doing a fantastic rear gunner job at this moment in time. Verstappen wins from Alonso, Sainz third, Perez fourth. But it is points for Andretti in the sprint. And Esteban Ocon is the man who gets them. Pierre Gasly just finishing off. It's a decent recovery from Pierre Gasly. He's going to start tomorrow in P10. We will take that all day long. Right then, guys, according to the data, there is only one strategy for it, and it is a soft on to medium. Both of our guys got a fresh set of soft compound tyres, so it makes sense with both cars. We've flirted with the two-stop, flirted with a one-stop from soft onto hards. That didn't seem to work. P5, P10, we are going to underfuel the car purely because we saw how well we recovered the fuel during the sprint race. So P5, P10, could we get double points today? I've got a feeling we could. Let's get to 5 red lights.
We've got 44 laps ahead of us here in Spa as we get ready for the Belgian Grand Prix. And here's George Russell settling in for the race.
Getting into the top 6 is a very good start. With an error-free race, they'll be confident of grabbing some points.
But remember, anything can happen in Formula One. Get ready, it's the Belgian Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
And away we go, and straight away we can see Max Verstappen once again just leading away beautifully in to turn 1. We keep an eye on Esteban Ocon. He was fighting with George Russell and Leclerc all the way through yesterday, and he's doing okay so far. In fact, he's attacking Checo Perez. He's Esteban Ocon, and straight away Esteban Ocon is up into P4. What a start from him. And Pierre Gasly on the lighter fuel as well, up into P9. We may have found something here that's working for us, because Pierre Gasly straight away thinking, right, I'm going to get past this McLaren of Lando Norris, and I really, really hope he does. But Esteban Ocon has set off like an house on fire off the start line. Verstappen does lead away from Alonso, then Sainz, then comes Ocon, Perez, Russell in P6, Leclerc, Norris and Gasly. We're not going to be able to keep this Red Bull behind us for long. We're very, very aware of that. But at this moment in time, why be worried about that when we can see a Ferrari of Carlos Sainz and the podium in front of us? We may as well enjoy it while it lasts. Lap 1, Verstappen leads. And I said we might as well enjoy it while we could, because as soon as the DRS were open, that Red Bull is a scary, scary beast, especially in the hands of Max Verstappen. But Checo Perez made it look very, very easy. Got the job done before the braking zone, really. And Checo Perez is up into P5. But now the challenge is for us to stick with that Red Bull. And Ocon already 8 tenths, losing ground at this moment in time. We are very much under fuel. This is helping us at this moment in time. We're keeping an eye also on Pierre Gasly, who's not quite managed to get past the Mercedes of Lando Norris. So something to bear in mind there. But Ocon, he's going to be in this battle all afternoon, hopefully. If we can get a top 7 with Ocon, I would call that a good performance. Now, Gasly, if he could get P8, that would be ideal as well. So we've got to try and keep in front of a Mercedes and a Ferrari. Gasly has got to catch a McLaren, lap 3. And Pierre Gasly has overtaken a McLaren. Did well, got the DRS open in to turn 1. Didn't give Lando a whole lot of room there, but managed to get past him. Beautifully done from Pierre Gasly. And by the time he got to Eau Rouge, he was still battling away. Lando Norris coming back at him round the outside. They nearly come together. This is a great battle between Norris and Gasly. We've got a yellow flag on circuit. I'm not sure who's locked up there. I'm looking at the top left-hand side. It's Lando Norris, apparently. Let's have a little look at this then. So Lando Norris managing to lock up there. Did that actually aid him in going a little deeper into the corner? Let's have a little look at this. It is a slight little lock-up, but nothing too untoward, I wouldn't suggest. And Lando Norris managing to get the job done there, so he managed to control it well, whatever happened. Esteban Ocon has dropped out of the DRS of Checo Perez, something we expected, but as of yesterday, still managing to keep Russell and Leclerc at bay. Leclerc is on the medium compounder tyres, so Leclerc's in a promising position here, but Gasly just tagging onto the back of Lando. Verstappen is already 3 seconds up the road from Alonso after 5 laps. And on lap 6, I said this battle had been going on, and Pierre Gasly once again up into P8. They are having a right ding-dong battle. Must be said, my 2 favourite drivers from last year's F1 Manager. If you're enjoying this series, you might have enjoyed last series as well. So by all means, go and watch that. It's still on one of the playlists on the YouTube channel, so please do go and watch that. But yeah, Pierre Gasly up into P8. Lando Norris is a driver we may be looking at going into next year. There's a few, even Leclerc possibly, if we can prize him away from Ferrari. Who knows, we might even not be at Andretti. I hear the Mercedes job may be up for grabs, especially if they keep performing like this. But Esteban Ocon at the moment doing just enough, and to be fair, George Russell's not really closing the gap. Esteban Ocon looks comfortable, I would suggest, at this moment in time. Pierre Gasly is in P8. He's looking quite comfortable as well. This is possibly the most comfortable, I know I've said comfortable 3 times in 3 sentences. This is possibly the most comfortable I've been on the pit wall for a couple of episodes. Lap 6, Verstappen leads, but we're doing well. Charles Leclerc overtaking Esteban Ocon, and it must be said, he's done it at a very nice area as well. Charles Leclerc driving particularly well. I'm not too upset about this, because it will mean that Esteban gets pulled along by that Ferrari who's on the better tyres, and it will help our battle against George Russell, and that's the battle I think we're in today. So Esteban Ocon now, it's a 1.5 second gap to Russell. Put it this way, Pierre Gasly is closer to George Russell than George Russell is to Esteban Ocon. All Esteban Ocon's got to do is stay in touching distance of this Ferrari, get a couple of bouts of DRS, and it's going to be a very, very decent afternoon for him, whereas Pierre Gasly is closing on George Russell at a rate of knots and pulling away from Lando Norris. Yellow flag, sector 2, and it is Kevin Magnussen, not Valtteri Bottas, Kevin Magnussen. Let's have a little look. Just getting a bit too trigger happy on the throttle. He's spun off as Kevin Magnussen. Does seem to be one of the error-prone drivers, it must be said, on this game, and he's a driver I really do rate in real life. Esteban Ocon's just going to be told to push a little bit more. I would like a couple more helpings of DRS if I could get it. But speaking of DRS, Pierre Gasly is all over the back of the Mercedes of George Russell, and he's going for the move. Running up to the bus stop chicane. Can he get the move done? Pierre Gasly, 73% tyres at this moment in time. Looking to attack. Can't quite get it done, but will do very shortly, I'm sure. Esteban Ocon, has he just enough? Is he in DRS range? He certainly is. Esteban Ocon is in DRS range. And look at what is happening here, ladies and gentlemen, because Charles Leclerc is pulling us back up to the podium positions. What a moment this could be, as Esteban Ocon, we're going to ride on board with the visor cam. We're going to get a replay of Pierre Gasly very, very shortly as well. That's through Eau Rouge for Esteban Ocon. We'll get the replay of Pierre Gasly. I mean, he's been all over George Russell for the last couple of laps, and now he's managed to get the move done up into P7, and I would fancy us to drop this Mercedes at a rate of knots. Toto Wolff, are you watching? Right, we are now in P6 and P7 for the Andretti boys, and we are looking at this. Look at this view from Esteban Ocon. He can see Leclerc, he can see Perez, Sainz, Alonso, he can see everything at the front, which was a far cry from the last episode for Esteban Ocon. And Pierre Gasly now has just got to put some distance between himself and George Russell. Esteban Ocon's just overtaking Charles Leclerc. Get excited. I am. I've just sat watching this race from the pit wall. And I've also just noted that Checo Perez has got a bit of engine wear as well. So I'm considering that maybe a P4 could be on the cards. Although I would expect here, as we're riding on board with Esteban Ocon, I would expect that Ferrari to catch up with us. But these 3 battling in front is really helping. What's also helping Pierre Gasly is Russell has got a gearbox issue, which is the reason why we're pulling away at the sort of rate of knots that we are. We are getting the fuel back in the car pretty much. We may have to do a bit of conserving towards the end, but at the moment, tyre wear is looking about where I would expect it to be, but Ocon is in at P5. I actually preferred the Ferrari in front. I don't really need Esteban fighting this, but lap 13, Esteban fancies a fight. Lap 16, probably the most pivotal moment of the Grand Prix so far. Esteban Ocon has lost the DRS of Charles Leclerc. It was going to happen at some point, but it has happened possibly a little bit quicker than we wanted it to. We are just keeping an eye on the tyre wear as well. We are just going to drop to standard on both our cars now. get us to lap 20. In fact, we can probably keep aggressive on Pierre Gasly's at the moment. But yeah, he's sadly just dropped out of DRS, and unfortunately, despite a lot of battling in front of us, that might be curtains for a P5, P4 finish. But Ocon still doing well, P6 and 7. We are looking pretty good at this moment in time. Verstappen leading the way from Sainz, 8 seconds the gap. Alonso fighting with his fellow Spaniard in P3. Then comes Perez, Leclerc, the 2 Andrettis of Ocon and Gasly, then the 2 Mercedes of Russell and Hamilton, followed by Zhou Guanyu. Lap 16, pit window open shortly. Lap 20, Esteban Ocon is coming in to the pits. I reckon there's a gap. My plan is to get him out in front of Daniel Ricciardo. I don't know if we're going to manage this, but I'm hoping we possibly can. Russell is into the pits as well. That's going to prompt Pierre Gasly. Thanks for popping up there. Pierre Gasly will be in on the next lap. We need a good stop, boys, here. And we get a good stop, a 2.6 second stop. Well done to the team. That's a lovely stop indeed. Now, let's have a look. Where is Daniel Ricciardo? Just coming up the start, finish straight. Esteban Ocon. I need to get him out in front of Daniel Ricciardo. And I believe we've done it. Fantastic work from the team. Pierre Gasly will be in next lap. Pierre Gasly is in to the pits. We are now looking at where this is going to bring him out. He wasn't too far behind Esteban Ocon. Ricciardo and Albon, I would expect to be in front of him. Will he come out in front of the Mercedes? Is it going to be a good stop? It's 2.8. It's not as good as his teammates. But where is George Russell? Just coming round the bus stop chicane. There's a gaggle of cars. Hamilton, Ricciardo and Albon is the word I'm looking for. Where is Pierre Gasly going to filter out? He's going to filter out behind George Russell. George Russell's got the undercut. We couldn't respond quick enough due to bringing Esteban in, but Gasly now has got the fresher set of tyres for the second half of this race. Ocon out in P7. In front of him, Zhou, Sainz, Perez, Leclerc and Verstappen, all yet to pit. Pierre Gasly has just done some of the finest driving I've seen for a while. George Russell has dropped back, and then we saw Pierre Gasly getting past Daniel Ricciardo, and he's just breezed past George Russell and Ricciardo. He's back up into I think that's P8, is it? Let's have a quick look. Pierre Gasly, sorry, into P9. Alexander Albon hasn't pit yet, so he's net P8. Hamilton has pit. So Pierre Gasly in at P9 at the moment, will be P8. Verstappen is the first one of the leading pack into the pits, but Ocon has got a nice gap in P6 at the moment, and it's a great pit stop from the Red Bull guys. They are very, very good at that, aren't they? We are going to have to start having a little look at conserving some fuel towards the end at the moment. Verstappen on to a set of medium compounded tyres. Esteban Ocon is sitting pretty in P6. We're just waiting for Albon and a couple of the medium runners to pit, but Lewis Hamilton, I believe, has he already pit? Lewis Hamilton can't be going to the end on those medium tyres, I wouldn't suggest. Or maybe he will, who knows, lap 23. And Pierre Gasly is starting to make moves once again. Didn't want to sit behind Alexander Albon that long, and he certainly didn't. He got past the Williams in that Gulf livery pretty sharpish, and now he really is up into P8. So great work from Pierre Gasly. Interestingly, Lewis Hamilton catching Esteban Ocon at a rate of knots is something I'm very much keeping an eye on at this moment in time. We are just going to drop to standard on the tyres a little bit. I'm concerned about the end of the Grand Prix, so that's the reason why I'm doing that. And also, I'm going to start fuel saving a little bit in a minute as well. Possibly, if Hamilton passes us, that's when I may start to fuel save. But Gasly now can possibly afford to do a little bit of fuel saving while Russell is tucked up behind that Williams of Alexander Albon. 32, we bring you back. Verstappen is honestly just driving round Spa-Francorchamps today, just enjoying the scenery. 14 seconds is the gap to Checo Perez. Alonso's tyres are dying pretty quickly, and he's got a very fast Charles Leclerc on soft compounds behind him. Sainz in P5, Hamilton is P6, Ocon P7. Hamilton has found some serious pace on this second stint. His tyres are dying off a little bit quicker than Ocon's, but we are now in the management mode of this Grand Prix because we weren't going to catch Hamilton once he got past us. He's really showed some pace. I don't really know where it's come from, in all honesty. But Ocon now just getting the fuel back on track. Pierre Gasly doing the same. He's dropped George Russell. George Russell had to go for a couple of laps, but not really managed to put any sort of pressure on. In fact, Pierre Gasly can probably stop fuel saving after a couple more laps. We're just going to get Ocon down to sort of -1 minus half a kilo, then we'll start pushing again. Maybe we'll catch Hamilton at the end, and we are just looking after our tyres a little bit at this moment in time as well. But at the moment, P7 and P8 for Gasly and Ocon, respectively, looking very good. Towards the back, we might as well look at Mick Schumacher, because Mick Schumacher, we don't focus on the back as much anymore, apart from when we're there. Mick Schumacher in P20 at this moment in time. It's not been a good day for the Audi Sport driver. What is the one thing that we really didn't need to happen, and I've been I've praised Esteban all weekend. It's been his best drive. He's a driver that's out of contract at the end of the season. Esteban Ocon now is really going toe-to-toe with Pierre Gasly, and I am wondering whether to swap the drivers over here, because there's no need to fight in the way that we are doing. Gasly's got less in terms of the tyre wear as well, so Ocon has. So Ocon is going to be told, do not fight your teammate. Do not fight your teammate. Let Pierre through, because I would rather Pierre get on with it, which he's going to do now. Pierre Gasly should get past Esteban Ocon in a moment. And I mean, he's not really making it easy for him, but he does get past him. Pierre Gasly now takes up the mantle in P7. He's going to get DRS down here. They can both push on the ERS. I'm more concerned about George Russell in the background than anything else. And maybe Pierre Gasly can just pull him up and away from there. So at the moment, Ocon's still fuel saving. Gasly isn't. They've swapped positions. But we wouldn't have swapped positions if Esteban didn't make that mistake. Let me know. Do you think that's the right call? Should we let them race? I don't want any contact. And Esteban at the moment has shown a couple of times that he's rather capable of smashing into other cars. We have got a yellow flag on circuit. I'm not quite sure what that's for. It's Carlos Sainz. Let's have a little look at this. Carlos Sainz locking up. He's fighting with Fernando Alonso. This will be a welcome sight in the mirrors of Fernando. Carlos Sainz locking up that front right. And he managed to get back on the track pretty quickly. I don't think that's going to affect him too much in terms of us catching him. But at the moment, Ocon and Gasly just pushing towards the end. We've got a big crash on circuit once again. Let's have a little look. It's Daniel Ricciardo and Oscar Piastri, the man formerly of McLaren and the man who now owns that seat. And it's just a little tap from Daniel Ricciardo. Not ideal at all. We could have possibly done with something like that happening in front of us to force a pit stop in front of us. But at the moment, we've not got long to go. 5 laps, in fact. We've got a 5-second gap to George Russell. Gasly, he's just towing Esteban Ocon along, and at the moment, it's working very, very well. Verstappen leads, but now Leclerc is in the fight for P2, and just as he was at the Las Vegas Grand Prix, it's Leclerc versus Perez for second position. Alonso now too far back. We know the top 3 are going to be. It's just which order second and third will come. Right, guys, we are coming onto the final lap of the Grand Prix, and we have told both drivers they are free to fight. Now, we can both deploy. I'm not giving them any sort of reason not to here. I just want them both to come home safe and bring these points home, because this is going to be massive for us, and we're going to go side by side through Eau Rouge. Talk about jeopardy. Why not add a little bit of jeopardy to the episode? Gasly has got to defend from Esteban Ocon down this straight. Can he do it? They are fighting tooth and nail, the 2 Andretti Cadillac cars. And Esteban Ocon looks like he's got the job done down the inside. They are still side by side. My God, don't crash into each other. This is possibly not the greatest idea I've ever had, but Esteban Ocon is up into P7. We did the job. Pierre Gasly towed him away from George Russell. I couldn't not give him a crack after his qualifying performance and his sprint race performance in particular. Max Verstappen has crossed the line and won the Grand Prix. Perez is going to come home in P2. Leclerc is chasing him down, but it is going to be P3 on the fastest lap for Charles Leclerc. But it's all eyes on this battle, and there is going to be one more run where Pierre Gasly could possibly overtake him. My God, let me know, who is your money on before this final corner and this final weavy straight, because this is it. Pierre Gasly deploying all of the ERS he's got left, and here comes Pierre Gasly looking at the back of him. Pierre Gasly isn't going to get the job done. He really isn't. That's going to be it. We are going to come home in P7 and P8. It's decent points all weekend, and on the Andretti pit wall, we are more than happy with that, as they're still going at it all the way up to the line. Good, fair driving, boys, and good, fair racing. Let's get to the podium.
Now that's an excellent drive today from Esteban Ocon.
There wasn't too much expectation on them today, but they fought hard and found themselves in the points.
We may see these kind of scenes a lot in Formula One, but it's easy to forget just what it means to the whole team. Well, Max Verstappen can add yet another podium to his already impressive record.
And that victory takes them into double figures for the year. An incredible 10th win of the season.
10th win of the season for Max Verstappen, but what brilliant scenes there. Esteban Ocon thoroughly enjoying that. And Max Verstappen wins them from Checo Perez, Leclerc P3, Fernando Alonso P4, then came Sainz, Hamilton gaining 9 places. Great drive from Lewis Hamilton, possibly driver of the day. Esteban Ocon in P7, Gasly P8, then came Russell and Norris in P10. Driver standings wise, Max Verstappen extends his lead at the top of the driver standings to just under 70 points. Checo Perez in P2, Lance Stroll and Alonso. Lance Stroll scoring no points this weekend. How disappointing for him. Leclerc getting 18 points in P5. Ocon has overtaken his teammate by 1 point this weekend. It's 10 points for Esteban. Fair play to him. I was raising some questions at the start of the episode. Maybe that's just answered his team principles questions for me. Constructor standings wise, Red Bull do extend their lead at the top once again. It's just under 100 points for them over Aston Martin in P2. We gain 14 points and extend our lead on Williams and Haas by some distance now. It is, 28 points the gap between us and Williams, and we actually gained a point on Mercedes. Hope you've enjoyed that one. My word, that were incident pipes. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe, and I shall see you on the next one. Ta-ra!